So Martin and I caught up only a few weeks ago in New York, and Martin has the distinction of featuring in the CEO Signal newsletter this morning. So if you haven't caught up with that interview on semafor.com, then I recommend it, because we went into much more than we may get to here. But Kyndryl, for any of you who aren't familiar with the company, is the former IBM IT services business. Was it built by Lou Gerstner? Is that right?
I think it started around Lou's time.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so you now have 80,000 people, 16 billion annual revenues, and customers including the world's largest banks, airlines, telcos, manufacturers, insurers. So this gives you a pretty deep interest in the digital infrastructure we're here to discuss. Tell us, first of all, what we're talking about when we talk about digital infrastructure.
Sure. So thank you for the opportunity, Andrew. Nice to be here. So Kyndryl designs, builds, and manages the IT infrastructure that the world relies on every day. As an example, the 70 leading banks have a consortium. We run those systems, and those are the systems that clear $7 to $8 trillion worth of currency trades every day. We run the systems for credit card companies that process $3.5–4 billion worth of approvals per day. We run the systems for healthcare companies that generate 100 million lab results that need to be ordered, managed, tracked, delivered, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So the world's digital infrastructure is what allows the world to operate in the way it does, and it's also the digital infrastructure then that needs to be ready for regulatory changes. It needs to be ready for the opportunities in AI, as an example. It also needs to be ready for the bad guys, the risks that exist out in the world. So the world's digital infrastructure is what you experience. That's what we run.
So it's all running smoothly, and you guys aren't really needed. But tell us, before we get on to the future of digital infrastructure, tell us what you actually see on a daily basis about the kind of health of it now. What is the average company's digital infrastructure looking like?
So first, let me share what our data says, and then I'll share how people feel about it, because it's a little bit different. Our customers tell us, through our readiness report, our customers tell us 90% of them say we're world-class as we sit here today. And our data, maybe that's a little bit optimistic, but our data on how much of the world's infrastructure is end of life and how much runs at global best practice and how many of the fixes are done in an automated way, our data says the world's digital infrastructure, private enterprise, it's been invested in, and they should feel pretty good about it. That doesn't mean that the bad guys aren't out there attacking it every day. That doesn't mean that there are things that go bump in the night. But by and large, as we sit here today, the world feels that its digital infrastructure, 90% of them feel it's world-class. When you ask them, however, are you ready for the challenges ahead? Are you ready to take advantage of AI or Gen AI? Are you ready to take advantage of cloud technologies where the innovation's showing up? Are you ready for regulatory changes? Are you ready for skills shortages? Then all of a sudden that 90%, fewer than 40% feel like they're ready for what's next.
Right.
So there's this dichotomy in their opinion, in their view of how how are we today and what's coming tomorrow, week, month ahead.
So what is it about that step change to what's coming tomorrow, to particularly AI, that makes it so challenging for your clients?
So AI is it's a good question, because it's I think it's a good example of AI has to start with data. Everybody says the same thing. AI starts with your data, and that's certainly true. AI also starts though with skills. So companies don't feel like they have skills, and even if you had the data right and the skills right, there's a long list of things that you have to be ready for. So as an example, again, and given what we run in mission critical, the minute you decide that I'm going to try Gen AI in this part of my mission critical application, and I'm going to go going to move my data there and bring it back, you expose yourself now to new security risks. You lose something in resiliency that needs to be figured out. And then, of course, there's a pretty big cultural element to AI and deploying AI. So they don't feel ready because sometimes their data's not in the right shape, sometimes their infrastructure is not as contemporary and modern as they need it, sometimes the skills that they have aren't. They don't feel like they're ready.
But what are you advising them, clients to do, or what's the work that you see is most needed to get ready?
Yeah, so again, from a technical perspective, there's a lot of work to do on data. How it's architected, where it sits, how you move it around, how you answer, if you're in a regulated industry, how do you answer the regulators' questions? The regulators ask simple questions. Where's your data right now and who can see it? Those sound easy, but they're very difficult in an AI context. So there's work to be done technically to get ready to use AI. There is work to be done with the teams who have to use it and the skills necessary. And there's credentialing, there's experience, and then there's the world of the user. We'll have another study out in May that talks about AI and how people feel about it. And one of the learnings from that is that about half the people are scared of AI, and they're scared of AI for a number of different reasons. But what it says to us is that, and we do this in Kyndryl, we've made AI about people and AI. But that's a case for change. And while AI is going to do a lot, AI is not going to make its own case for change. The leadership has to make a case for change. And
what do you think the percentage of inside Kyndryl is of people who are scared of AI?
It's very few now, but it's a great question because when we do what we do with a platform called Kyndryl Bridge. Kyndryl Bridge allows us to see our customers' infrastructure, allows us to fix things before they become problems. It allows us to identify patterns. It allows us to, like I said, do what we do. But when we started putting Kyndryl Bridge into customers, I will tell you, for very good reasons, a lot of the Kyndryls were like, well, hold on, I want to understand how it's making a decision. I want to understand what it's going to do. Our teams take great pride in running the systems that matter. And so, yeah, they were in the beginning, they wanted to prove, it has to prove itself, and they have to be comfortable that it's going to do the right thing for their customers. And that's why for us, it's always been about person plus machine. It's always been about how do you take, for us, what we call actionable insights. We're generating 4 million actionable insights for our customers a month. How do you take those actionable insights and make sure you're looking at them and you're understanding them? You're not just punching it out into the world to take systems down.
What did you do internally to get people over that fear factor? And was this about sort of governance structures you put around it? Was it more about the leadership messaging?
So it's all of those things. So some of it is just the raw technical credentialing, making sure people understand how the technology works, how to use it, how it's making decisions, familiarity with it, play around with it before we actually, let it automate more things. So some of it is the technical depth, some of it is the experience. And then like I said, there is a big cultural element to this to make sure people know it's about them and the machine together. They know that they are a big part of this. And when you're running mission critical and people really do care about delivering a great service to, we run airports in India, right? And people don't want to be part of something, well, the airport's down because Kyndryl, right? So they really do care about it. So it's about making sure that you're bringing people on this journey with you.
So as you say, you have this incredible insight into where your clients are at on their AI journeys, what the work they're actually doing. Do you think we're in an AI hype cycle right now, or are most of your clients getting good returns on the investments they've made in AI?
So no and no.
Okay.
So
Tell me
no, I don't think we're in a hype cycle. The way we operate today is already different from how we operated a few years ago. It will be different again in a few years. And that's in sort of our machine learning sort of functions that we have deeply embedded into Bridge. We are also doing thousands of different things with Gen AI, trying to figure out how to use it. And our customers tell us the same thing. Our customers tell us, roughly 3/4 of them say we're experimenting with AI some form or fashion. But out of the 75%, maybe 40% are at the point of a great ROI.
Right.
And again, I think it's because there is data architecture work that has to happen. So if you're in the data architecture phase of your project, you're going to answer the question yes to the first, are you doing something with it? And they're going to answer no to the second because you haven't seen the returns. And again, as I mentioned, there's a data architecture, there is ultimately running some experiments, and then again, moving it into mission critical, that a whole new range of challenges. Once you get through all of that and you can operate at scale, I think that's the 40% who are seeing the ROI.
Is there something that unites that 40%? Is it just bigger companies or companies that have spent more on it, or what's the common thread that leads to?
Yeah, I think there are a few. I think it is skills, and skills, not only the technical skills, but skills that have created frameworks to really understand what does good look like. I don't know that we universally, I don't know that our customers have great frameworks everywhere to understand what the benefit of AI is and how it might be applied. So there's skills on the technical side, and there's skills on kind of the business management side. And then there is a kind of a common thread on the leadership element that builds the case for change,
right,
so that you actually use it. Okay. Again, with half the people afraid of AI, you can imagine rolling something out that, you know, if you have half the people not using it, you're really not going to see an ROI from that.
All right, so we're in Washington. I want to end on a policy question. You've argued, I know, that digital trade is the backbone of modern economic growth. We're at a moment where physical trade seems to be hitting a few roadblocks. Are you worried the same thing's going to happen to digital trade?
Well, I'm worried, but because it's so important. But I think what I've seen in this administration's prior incantation were a ton of reasons to feel like they understand digital trade and what's needed. And the two things I would point to, you know, if you look at USMCA, USMCA has fabulous digital trade provisions. It has all the right things and none of the wrong things. And then that was followed up with the Japan-US Digital Trade Agreement, which again has these wonderful and necessary elements to it. So while I completely agree with you, the focus is on physical goods, at least we have a marker that says digital trade is well understood in this administration. Digital trade, at least they know what good looks like.
Okay. Well, Martin, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, Andrew.
Appreciate your lesson about showing people, leading people on the path towards AI change.
Thank you.